Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Soul Land 2 Peerless Tang Men based on novel. So let's start. Ha. Huo Yuhao burst into laughter. It seemed almost as if he had already forgotten about all those things that had made him sad. He was always very happy when Tang Wutong was around. As they walked on, they soon came within the vicinity of the palace. Huo Yuhao was pretty familiar with the palace, after all, he had entered more than once. Today, he was simply walking around aimlessly with Tang Wutong. However, Huo Yuhao realized that 3 days had passed, and Juzi still had not contacted them. He felt that he should try to establish contact with her to determine what their next move ought to be. Huo Yuhao was confident that he would be able to sneak into the palace with Tang Wutong with ease. However, just when he came close to the outer wall of the palace, he suddenly sensed impending danger. This sensation was very sudden, but extremely intense. Tang Wutong, who had gotten ready to enter the palace with him, realized that he had stopped. Let's go. Huo Yuhao held Tang Wutong's hand as he continued down the street. He remembered clearly that there was a barbecue store which had pretty good food. The smell of the burned charcoal was extremely dense, and their meat was very tender and juicy. There should not be that many people in the middle of the afternoon. I should bring Wutong along to eat some barbecue meat. Huo Yuhao's memory was very good, and he managed to successfully locate the restaurant. Both of them ordered some barbecued lamb and beef, as well as some of their barbecued innards. On top of that, they requested 2 cups of wheat wine. It did not take very long before they were served. It was truly a remarkable dining experience to munch on barbecued meat and sip wheat wine. Why did you not enter the palace just now? Tang Wutong transmitted her words to Huo Yuhao while munching on the meat normally. Huo Yuhao also replied by transmitting his thoughts to her. I don't know why, but I sensed something threatening just when I was about to enter. It was almost as though something bad was about to happen. Perhaps there's someone within the palace who is able to threaten our lives. It seems like the Sun Moon Empire's surveillance soul tools might have improved once again. This is really bad. Tang Wutong was also startled. She knew how powerful Huo Yuhao's spiritual power had become after both of them had become transcendent Doluo. Even though his spirit eye was still lacking its 9th soul ring, his ability to sense danger was definitely on par with that of an ultimate Doluo with the boost he had received from the 3-eyed golden lion. Huo Yuhao had failed to detect the 2 ultimate Doluo previously only because they were never in real danger. Hence, one could guess from Huo Yuhao's reaction that the palace was incredibly dangerous. I can't believe how strong the Sun Moon Empire has become. Because the barbecued meat was really fantastic, Tang Wutong revealed a very satisfied expression. Afterward, they sat where they were and asked for 2 more cups of wheat wine before sipping their wine slowly. In the meantime, Huo Yuhao's spiritual power was creeping along the walls of the palace as he tried to envelop the entire compound with his spiritual power. However, he did not try to project his power into the palace. Instead, he simply wrapped it around the compound like a spiritual barrier and surveilled the compound from a vantage point. This method of surveillance would definitely not give away his existence even if the palace had set up multiple surveillance soul tools within its compound. On the surface, it seemed as though the palace was still its tranquil self. The guards who were on patrol were still moving around in an orderly fashion. The aerial surveillance soul tools were still exactly the same as they were before. Could I have been wrong? Huo Yuhao was puzzled by what he was seeing. No, I can't be wrong. Even if I am wrong, I need to be very careful. After so many years of training, Huo Yuhao was able to compose himself very quickly. Taking risks would only lead to disastrous outcomes. Even the most powerful soul masters were no exception to this rule. After he composed himself, he made sure his spiritual detection did not enter the palace as he observed the interior of the palace from the outside. He was not anxious at all. In fact, there were many ways he could survey the palace without entering it physically. He only needed to see if there was a point in employing those methods. Very soon, they were done with their 2nd cup of wheat wine. Let's head back. Huo Yuhao suddenly stood up. Just when he was going to foot the bill, the expression on his face suddenly changed. Very quickly, he returned to where he was sitting and exclaimed, "Can we have 2 more cups of wheat wine?" Tang Wutong was not startled by the sudden change of plans. She understood that Huo Yuhao must have discovered something to have decided to change their plans. She waited patiently for her 3rd cup of wheat wine to be served. Huo Yuhao shared his spiritual detection with her so that she would be able to see what he was seeing. They were shocked to see a familiar figure striding towards the main gate of the palace from their vantage point. The figure was dressed in a big red robe. Her overpowering aura was radiating from her body in a haughty fashion. She was none other than the death god Doluo, Yisher. Huo Yuhao believed that she must be intending to make some sort of statement to have decided to come to the palace at this time. After seeing her appear, Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong naturally could not leave. Both of them hated Yisher to the core. This fact would not change even though she had chosen not to attack them because of Long Xiao. What is Yisher doing at the palace in the middle of the day? It was important to note that evil soul masters often found their powers more limited in the afternoon. The reason was that their powers were often tied to spirits, and spirits were often weakened when daylight was strongest. Hence, it was very strange for the death god Doluo to choose to come at this time. Did she not consider the possibility of a fight? As Yisher strode into the palace, the guards by the door bowed to her in respect. No one dared to stop her, as she continued to walk towards the inner part of the palace. However, Huo Yuhao was definitely able to sense the transformation within the palace from his vantage point after she entered the gates. 4 lights suddenly appeared at the 4 corners of the palace. These lights were not very intense, and looked just like any normal light. They were not particularly large, roughly 10 meters in diameter or so. However, Huo Yuhao could feel the same threatening sensation once those lights lit up. In fact, the sensation was way more intense than before. Huo Yuhao became incredibly worried. At the very next instant, Huo Yuhao instantly understood what those lights were. It was important to note that he was a Class 9 soul engineer with a detection ability that even Ultimate Doluo would not be able to rival. Those are high-energy compression array soul tools. Weren't those soul tools set up at the 4 corners of Radiant City? When did they install them within the palace too? They were a lot smaller than the high-energy compression array soul tools that were installed around Radiant City. On top of that, they were not radiating any soul power. Hence, Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong were not able to tell exactly how powerful they were. However, they believed that these soul tools could not possibly be weak. Previously, those high-energy compression array soul tools had left an extremely deep impression on Huo Yuhao. They had managed to protect over 100,000 civilians under the command of Tianran. At the same time, they had protected his life. A rank 98 Transcendent Doluo was unable to destroy it even after he ignited his own life energy. On top of that, Tianran had only borrowed power from one of the 4 soul tools. This meant that they should probably be able to protect all of Radiant City if all 4 of them were activated at the same time. That would be an incredible amount of power. Of course, Huo Yuhao also knew that it would take a long time for them to store up so much power. Nonetheless, this was sufficiently impressive. Now, it seemed like even the palace was equipped with these soul tools. They were definitely more than sufficient to protect the entire palace regardless of whether they were used to attack or defend. In addition, if they were really high-energy compression array soul tools, this meant that the Sun Moon Empire had already developed methods to produce smaller high-energy compression array soul tools. It would not be long before they equipped their soul engineer legions with these frightening weapons. That would truly be a nightmare. Huo Yuhao did not know how they were recharging these high-energy compression array soul tools. It would not be very practical for them to recharge them manually. Who knew how many soul masters they would need to be fully recharged? After seeing all of this, Huo Yuhao definitely could not leave. He needed to observe and learn more. After all, these high-energy compression array soul tools concerned his next plans. It was likeliest for him to kill Tianran within the palace. After assassinating him, he would have to flee from the palace safely. If Tianran were able to control all of these high-energy compression array soul tools, he would definitely be able to protect himself from any ultimate Doluor who planned to assassinate him. Hence, Huo Yuhao knew he had to pay attention to the details. After taking a few steps into the palace, Yisher suddenly stopped before she looked up into the sky. This shocked Huo Yuhao. What a powerful detection ability. Even though I was simply surveilling from the sky, she was able to tell that I was there. An ultimate Doluor is really a lot more powerful than any transcendent Doluor. However, I don't think she knows where we are. Just when Huo Yuhao was reassuring himself, a black figure entered the barbecue restaurant. Give me a beef tenderloin. Make it very tender. I want it medium well. Also, give me a cup of wheat wine. Huo Yuhao immediately slapped his forehead. Tang Wutong also let out a helpless sigh. The reason was that the person who had just entered the restaurant was none other than Long Xiao. Both of them looked at one another as they saw the startled expression on each other's faces. Long Xiao had naturally seen them. This powerful soul master walked towards their table, pulled out a chair, and sat in front of both of them. Long Xiao smiled as he said, "I didn't expect us to meet again so soon." Huo Yuhao sighed and said, "Elder, your cultivation is unpredictable. I didn't expect you to find us even though we've been so careful." Although it was easy to put on makeup, Huo Yuhao naturally understood that they could no longer hide their identities after Long Xiao discovered them. Long Xiao laughed and said, "What if I told you this was a coincidence? Would you believe me?" Huo Yuhao's lips twisted a little. "I don't think I need to answer such a dumb question." He raised his cup of malt wine to express his sincerity before gulping the wine down. The bitter yet fragrant taste of the malt wine immediately overwhelmed his chest area. It was very comfortable, but the bitterness didn't disappear for a long time. This time, Yisher was one of their targets. At this moment, the waiter had already delivered the food that Long Xiao wanted. "Grandpa Long, you haven't been here for a long time. Quickly, come and taste this delicious piece of beef tenderloin that our chef has chosen." The waiter passionately put the food in front of him. "All right, help me thank him." Long Xiao chortled and started to cut up the beef tenderloin with a small knife. The waiter retreated, and Tang Wutong couldn't help but ask, "You're already so old, yet you're still eating meat. Aren't you afraid of being a laughing stock?" Long Xiao laughed, "Eating is a joy in life. It's something we have to do every day from the day we are born until the day we die. I love meat. If I can't even eat meat, what's the point of living?" As he spoke, he started to gulp down wine and meat together. Huo Yuhao was a little pensive as he looked at Long Xiao and said, "Right now, I actually believe that our meeting is a coincidence." Long Xiao chuckled and said, "That's why I said that we are fated, are we not? Share whatever you are seeing with me. I know you have that ability." Huo Yuhao couldn't help it, and shared what he was seeing with Long Xiao. Long Xiao was definitely more familiar with the imperial palace than he was. He immediately discovered something wrong with the four corners of the palace. Long Xiao was perplexed as he asked, "Oh, what's that? Four corners are brightly lit." Huo Yuhao said, "If I'm not wrong, they should be high-energy compression array soul tools. Elder Yi is also a Class 9 soul engineer. You should have heard of such a soul tool before." Long Xiaoyao's expression immediately changed. "What did you say? They are high-energy compression array soul tools. No, impossible. The Sun Moon Empire only has such soul tools outside the city. Why are they in the palace?" Huo Yuhao said, "I was supposed to check out the palace today. However, I had an ominous feeling before I entered. That's why I'm here. After that, I went to observe. Elder Yi seems to have just gone in." Long Xiaoyao's expression immediately turned grim. He took a big gulp of malt wine and squinted. "The Sun Moon Empire's power has really exceeded our expectations. Continue observing." He didn't immediately leave after discovering the high-energy compression array soul tools. He continued eating his beef and drinking his wine. Since he wasn't anxious, there was less of a need for Huo Yuhao to be anxious. However, he maintained his spiritual detection out of respect for Long Xiao. He didn't check things out further. In his heart, he couldn't wait for Tianran and Yisher to fight. That would fit his interests. A huge piece of beef tenderloin was quickly consumed by Long Xiao. He even had another cup of wine. Long Xiao seemed to enjoy it a lot. He was all smiles as he looked at Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong. Although Mu Yan is gone, he should be laughing even in the afterlife, since he's got a disciple like you. It'd be great if I had a disciple like you. If it was someone else, he would immediately give up everything to become Long Xiaoyao's disciple. However, Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong were already both the disciples of the dragon god Doluo Mu Yan. Naturally, they wouldn't do that. You're exaggerating. Huo Yuhao hurriedly said. Long Xiaoyao shook his head and said, I'm not. I'm being serious. When Mu Yan and I were your age, we were too inferior compared to both of you. There are even a few fellows from the Tang sect who aren't faring worse than us at their age. Huo Yuhao didn't know how to react. He only smiled. In fact, he couldn't determine whether Long Xiaoyao was a friend or foe even up until now. Teacher said that he's secretly protecting me. However, he's also a supreme elder of the Holy Ghost Church. He's always been by Yisher's side, helping her commit evil. Without him, the Holy Ghost Church wouldn't have been able to develop so quickly over the past few years. Its success is closely tied to the dragon god Doluo, Long Xiaoyao. Long Xiaoyao sighed. Little Hua, do you look down on me and think that I'm a disgrace to have earned my reputation along with your teacher? Huo Yuhao was astonished. He honestly replied, there was once a period of time when I did think that way. However, I learned more after that. I guess you must have some things that you can't say. Long Xiaoyao smiled, and seemed to be very happy. Very good. At least you're not lying to me. That's a virtue, even though white lies are important sometimes. You seem to be disapproving with your words. Do you think that I should not be committing evil even if there are things that I can't say? Huo Yuhao took a mouthful of the malt wine, and tried to hide his awkwardness. Elder, you're really very sharp. Nothing escapes your eyes. I apologize for my actions. Long Xiaoyao shook his head and replied, there's nothing to be apologetic about. Almost everyone thinks the same way as you. Even my friends and family think the same too. It's just I really have no choice. He retracted his smile. What replaced it was a look of unhappiness and pain that couldn't be wiped away. Let me tell you. There are many things which aren't that simple. I've not told this matter to anyone before. If I don't say it now, I might not get a chance again. Do you want to listen to it? Can we say no? Moreover, Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong were both curious about his life. They nodded at the same time. Long Xiaoyao sighed and revealed a lost look in his eyes. We'll have to go way back to the start. Then, Mu Yan, Yisher and I met one another when we traveling outside. Mu Yan and I met the earliest. We only knew each other through fighting. He had the radiant holy dragon, while I had the darkness holy dragon. We were each the other's nemesis. That's why we were foes the moment we met. Our cultivations were similar, and our ages were also around the same. How could we not be competitive? Within a year, we fought 7 times. Each time, the victor was different. Eventually, I lost 1 more time than him. Among the 7 fights, I won 3 and he won 4. He won against me, most notably during the finals of the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Dueling Tournament. He won against the team that I led. It was also then that I first met Yisher. She was the only female soul master that could challenge us in terms of cultivation. When he said that, a smile appeared on Long Xiaoyao's face. Whatever happened in the past was undoubtedly the best things that had happened in his life. After fighting for close to a year, we became closer because of one matter. We met a village that was harmed by evil soul masters. The evil soul masters were on a killing spree. They were using human souls and corpses to cultivate. We passed that village from different places. When we saw the tragic state it was in, we couldn't help but intervene. When we finally killed all the evil soul masters, we realized that we were helping one another. Suddenly, we laughed, and became good friends from then on. Mu Yen is a composed person. I'm more rebellious. To be honest, I was really slightly more handsome than your teacher then. Ha ha. Long Xiao laughed. He was even laughing very heartily. Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong couldn't refute this point. Although Long Xiao was already very old, he was still very big and tall. It was also clear how he looked when he was younger. Huo Yuhao even felt that the Darkness Holy Dragon was more handsome than him when he was younger. Long Xiao followed with, we started to travel around the continent and faced many experiences. We also teamed up together quite frequently. Then, we were astonished to find out that our martial souls were complementary, even though their types were completely different. We even managed to unleash a fusion skill once. Darkness and light can actually come together. Don't you think it's very magical? Fusion skill. Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong stared at each other. This was really new information for them. Neither Elder Mu nor Elder Xian had told them about this matter. Could darkness and light actually fuse? From Long Xiaoyao's description, he did have some differences with Elder Xian then. It turned out that Elder Mu and Long Xiaoyao knew each other from the tournament. Mu Yen and I analyzed the situation. We believe that we were able to use fusion skills because of the connection between our martial souls. Even though darkness and light were opposites, there was something we shared. It's that our martial souls are both dragons. We only completed our fusion because of this similarity in our lineages. However, our martial souls were only 50% compatible. An extremely destructive force could be generated when darkness and light clashed as we fused our martial souls. However, it couldn't increase our cultivations. Compared to your fusion, we were a long way off. Our relationship got better and better, and we became very good friends. That was until one day, when we bumped into Yisher again. Yisher was really beautiful when she was younger. Lass, she wasn't worse compared to you. As he said that, there seemed to be a captivated look in Long Xiaoyao's eyes, even though he was already very old. She was both bubbly and cute then. Very soon, the three of us became very good friends who toured the continent together. Yisher had a very good personality. We were both young men too. Very soon, it became apparent that we liked her. Both of us discussed this matter privately. Since we both liked her, we'd rely on our capabilities to win her heart. I was more confident than your teacher. After all, I was much better in the looks department. My powers weren't inferior to him either. I had the confidence of winning Yisher's heart. I even told him that the other party must accept her choice no matter what, and that we'll remain good friends no matter the outcome. Mu Yen agreed. To prevent jealousy from ruining our relationship, Mu Yen and I decided to both find Yisher one day and confess. We hoped that she would make a choice. It was better for us to confess than hide our feelings. Yisher seemed to have been scared by us. She hesitated for half a day before she made her choice. A bitter look appeared. Long Xiaoyao was helpless as he gently shook his head. I didn't expect that I would be the one to be rejected. Yisher chose Mu Yen. Even up until now, I can still remember how delighted Mu Yen was. It was something he couldn't hide. He leaped over and hugged her. He even spun 3 rounds with her in his embrace. Even though we agreed to be good friends, I was still devastated then. I left without turning back. When Mu Yen came to chase after me, I ran with all my strength. He didn't chase after me because he had to take care of Yisher. Huo Yuhao couldn't help but ask, Elder Long, wait a minute. Why did I learn that Yisher didn't choose either of you? Instead, she wanted both of you to fight a year later. The winner would get her. But neither of you went. Long Xiaoyao snorted, you must have heard that from little Xian. He only heard it second-hand. While it's true that we did fight later, Yisher was already with him then. It's just that they kept it a secret. After sighing, Long Xiao said, I'm actually a very proud person. I've known this for a long time. That was the heaviest blow that I'd suffered in my entire life. I walked the streets feeling very lost. Unknowingly, I walked out of the city and entered the wilderness. I was alone, and I didn't even know how long I walked. My heart was completely broken. The pain of being jilted was excruciating. I hated Mu Yan then. I even hated Yisher. I didn't understand why she would choose him. I was confident that I was more handsome. I could tell from Yisher's eyes that she liked me. Perhaps you will laugh at me, but I was really confident. However, she still chose Mu Yan in the end. Don't tell me that it was because he came from Shrek Academy. I was indignant. I was really indignant. However, I couldn't return. I had already promised Mu Yan that we'd remain good friends no matter who she chose. I couldn't go back and fight for her again. That's why I left. When I left for an entire year. I dominated the continent for that 1 year. I attacked the strong and helped the weak. I was much more heavy-handed and vicious than I used to be. In fact, I was looking for information about the two of them. Both of them dominated as a couple in the continent, and became leading figures in the younger generation of Soul Masters. Time didn't make me feel better. Eventually, I still decided to go and find them. I wanted to personally witness how blissful they were. I knew that it wasn't going to be easy for me to escape my feelings. I'm a stubborn person. That's why I eventually wanted to see. No matter what happened, I had to see. Destiny decided that we should meet again. They were very blissful together. When Mu Yan saw me, he was a little awkward. After comforting me, we even drank until we were both drunk. However, I was strangely calm then. I no longer blamed Mu Yan when I saw him. Your teacher is a good person. He's really a good person. I fully believe that he didn't play any tricks when we pursued Yisher. Liking someone can't change. If you like someone, you like that person. If you don't like someone, you don't like that person. Then, I suddenly felt that I was able to finally let go. That left me very happy. It was good to be able to let go. At least no one else had to be hurt anymore, and I myself didn't have to be hurt anymore. Yisher was also very calm when she met me. She wasn't as close as she was a year ago. She had become very gentle by then. It seemed as if she was ready to become Mu Yan's wife. I wished both of them well. I felt it to be unfair, which was why I proposed to fight Mu Yan. I hoped to use a fight to alleviate the pain in my heart. I fought Mu Yan in front of a bunch of people from Shrek Academy. I lost, and lost very tragically. Mu Yan had grown a lot in 1 year. Perhaps it was because of love. His overall abilities were a tier above mine. Of course, it might also be because I was dispirited for an entire year. We went to drink. I indulged in a lot of alcohol and got completely wasted. Mu Yan was also drunk. When I woke up in the middle of the night, my head was splitting. In the room, only Mu Yan and I were around. Yisher had disappeared. There was a note on the table. It was beside Mu Yan, and it was written by Yisher. She told him to wash up before returning to the room after he woke up. I knew that Yisher was a clean freak. She hadn't changed. I took the note and walked out. I walked to her room. The door was open, and she seemed to be asleep. When I walked in, I smelled a fragrance. I wasn't too bothered then, and only silently walked to the bedside. I only wanted to take a look at her before leaving. Then, I thought that it would be my last time seeing her. In the future, I wouldn't see either of them anymore, in case it broke my heart. When I walked to the bedside, Yisher's voice sounded. She said, "Why are you up so late? I've waited for you for a long time. You can't escape me today. Why do we have to wait until marriage before we are together?" We can be together tonight. Do you smell the fragrance? Hee hee, it's a poison that I made. It's called fragrance of spring wind and rain. After hearing her voice, I didn't dare to move. I was afraid of being found out. What was I supposed to do now that I had broken into her room? After hearing her words, I was astonished. Although I didn't know what the fragrance of spring wind and rain was, I could guess. A warm flow went straight into my brain. My rationality told me that I should flee and find a place to neutralize the poison. However, I couldn't bear to leave. My heart was racing then. I did something that I regret for life. Yisher pulled me in. The room was very dark then. Her breathing was very quick. So was mine. When I touched her skin, the emotions that I had been suppressing for a year were unleashed. I leapt onto her like a beast. After hearing until here, Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong couldn't help but open their eyes wide. This is really a blessing in disguise. Not to even mention that Elder Xian wouldn't know about this. I'm sure Elder Mu doesn't know either, right? Suddenly, they didn't know what to say. Huo Yuhao was even secretly relieved that nothing like this had ever happened to them. Long Xiao gulped down another cup of wine and shouted at the top of his voice, "Another cup." Even though many years had passed, it was evident he was still very bothered about this matter. The pain in his eyes couldn't be hidden. Huo Yuhao softly asked, "Elder, it's been such a long time. What happened after that?" Long Xiao sighed. "When I woke up, Yisher was already up. She was seated beside me. There was a dagger in her hand, which she was slowly moving towards her chest. I was shocked. I quickly grabbed the blade of the dagger, even though it cut me. My heart was very pained. I knew that I had committed a grave error. It was also at that moment that Mu Yen called for Yisher. As he shut his eyes, Long Xiaoyao's body was shaking slightly. More than 100 years had passed, but when he thought of what had happened back then, he still couldn't control himself. This showed how awkward the situation was for him. Huo Yuhao's lips twisted. How can Long Xiaoyao be the only one who was tortured by this incident? Teacher and Yisher were both victims too. Who could be blamed for this incident? Long Xiaoyao was wrong. He should have run away. However, he was deeply in love with Yisher. Was his love wrong? What about Yisher? Teacher was an honest man. She only poisoned him to get closer to him. She might even have been trying to make him less jealous. While her actions were a little extreme, were they wrong? As for Teacher, he's the most pitiful. He doesn't even know what happened. His lover and his best friend actually. This video will end here.